one of the biggest focuses has always been the fear of AI.
People are losing their jobs to people who understand AI better, knowledge gap that they have, and they're integrating it into their life as much as possible.
In my 15 years of experience, I haven't seen this, nothing close to this. So it's a beautiful time to be alive.
Hi, and welcome to another episode of the DigiVlog series here on YouTube. We're so happy that you're joining us. If you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe and follow us and share us around. We're very happy that you're here. Today, we're going to be talking about one of the biggest topics in the world today. If you haven't heard it enough, we're talking about AI and how you as HCP marketers can be using it to strategically increase your workflows, any automations you may need, and how it can really help 10x, 20x your lifestyle, your marketing plans, and everything you have going on. As you can see, we have a little bit different look of our team here today. We have Jose and we have Kurt here, two of our resident AI experts and wearers of many hats. So as you know, I've been on every episode up to now. I'm a producer here at DigiVid, but Kurt, why don't you give us a little bit of an introduction for yourself?
Oh, thank you, Trip. Excited to be here. There's so many changes that are happening in the AI space right now. Literally, something's changing right now as we're sitting here. There's so many things, and over the several years that we've been in the AI space, the company specifically, that I have seen in terms of meetings that we've had. It's been super interesting that one of the biggest focuses has always been the fear of AI. And there is so much that can be done with AI that is so helpful in terms of automation and unlocking content and at a cost-effective scale versus what we have been doing by hand. My background, I started in New York City. I worked at Comedy Central and AMC networks, and it was on the marketing side. We launched shows like South Park and Mad Men, Breaking Bad, a little show called The Walking Dead. AI was really on the horizon at that point, but we started really using digital and some elements of AI in the very, very lowest form. As time started going on, we just really saw AI starting to pick up. I ran a digital agency in Denver for several years, and we started the company that we currently have in 2015. And AI, from the time the onslaught of AI until now, has really been a major part of everything that we're doing. And every day it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, it feels like it becomes more of a discussion every day, and it's almost like we're inundated with AI. If you're not talking about AI every hour on the hour, you're not keeping up. Jose, I know that was a really good intro for Kurt, but I know you have a lot to say as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trip. So yes, basically what I share what Kurt was saying, that this new AI thing is really exciting. I've been doing graphic design and animation for over 15 years. And now just being and getting to know this new technology that is AI is really like starting all over again, right? It's just like feeling that we are in the beginnings of a new technology that we're starting to implement. As a couple things on my background, as I'm mentioning, I have over 15 years of experience in the life science and the medical and the technology space, especially into the animation and graphic design. And I've been able to work and completed work for companies in the Fortune 500 companies like many, many times. So I've been seeing firsthand how technologies impacted the communication that we serve our clients with. And now with this new technology that is AI, we're seeing like this even more, right? So every single day we are seeing new changes. Like every single week is different than the before. And this is exciting. It is super exciting. In my 15 years of experience, I haven't seen nothing close to this. So it's a beautiful time to be alive.
Yeah, it's happening fast, and like Kurt said, every minute we talk here, another AI is being created. You know, it's moving so fast, you need an AI just to keep up with it. In talking about that, thank you, Jose, for that great intro. And I think in 15 years, you've probably seen so many different changes in animation and stuff like that. I think this AI implementations that you've been doing on and off with us over the past few months have just been incredible. So I look forward to hearing more about that as we get into it. Turning to Kurt, who has a little bit more experience than 15 years in the industry. Could you talk about how on a massive scale, how AI is really accelerating growth and changing everything for many industries?
Oh yeah, that could be a 5-day conversation. Just in terms of how we all live today, most of us, are with ChatGPT and Perplexity and Claude. These tools alone, just at the consumer level, have changed our world. I mean, talk to any professor at any major university, and they'll tell you, they're having a hard time because most of these kids are using these tools. In the business world, it is no different. And for us, when these tools first came out, there was pushback in terms of using these tools. And as time went on, adoption increased. I think the fear of AI, and you cannot talk about AI without talking about fear that people have. It's important because in the many years that we've been doing this, and in our client meetings, I can't tell you the number of times. I would say almost every single time, the first thing that really comes out is, I have fear of this. I have fear it's going to do this. I have fear it's going to do that. I feel like part of our job is to calm those fears so people understand that the benefit far outweighs any of the fear that they may have in terms of, how that would be impacting their business. And then we, sit down and talk about the issues that they're having. And most of it, Trip, has really been with market automation. So they have a challenge. It's something that is too large for a human being to handle, or, one or two. And I'll give an example. We talked to a client. They had 10 people that were on the marketing team, and their whole goal was to do one specific function, the marketing team. This happened to be a medical device client, and they had a product that was accepted in the EU, and suddenly they had to do EU compliance. And this is one of the few times that we have had a compliance discussion, because most of the time it's really on content automation. But in terms of this specific thing, they had 9 people that at $90 an hour that were working on this. And this really could have been automated. And those people could have gone back to doing what they were doing. And what happened is it took those people off what their core primary job was, which they all really enjoyed, and put them on something else. This is a prime example of where AI can come in relatively quickly, automate, and help turn that business around. And you can really attribute dollars to that. How do you do that? Really just through payroll. You look and say, okay, we're paying somebody $90 an hour. These are high level, executives, obviously, and they're spending their time doing this. When this can be automated, you can quantify that. And we did that. And so this is one tiny example, and very simple, of how you can come in with AI and really change an environment in an organization.
Yeah, and exactly what you're saying, that cost-effective scaling is really what it's about. That's the driving force behind why automation is such a important thing. If your sales team doesn't have to turn in expense reports at the end of every sale, they can sell more. There's tons of examples throughout B2B that show that.
Yeah, I mean, it also increases their velocity. It allows them to scale faster, bigger, in ways that were not possible before. And so, and that in itself is interesting, because these companies now have the wherewithal to do this. And if you will, I guess I would say it unlocks the chains that have bind them, and then allows them to transform and scale with efficiency. And that's probably the biggest. If you take anything away from this uh, meeting that we're having today, I would say transforming the efficiency and the scale is really probably the biggest thing that AI can help you with.
Yeah, I mean, and it's interesting because a lot of times, people think of AI and video marketing, they think about what we're going to talk about next with Jose, which is video generation and content generation. But if it helps you at every point of that line, right? Like you said earlier with that example of, this automation that helped take these people, these 10 people away from their jobs and just give it to an automation. And so they can go do the job that they want to be doing and that they're getting paid $90 an hour to be doing rather than doing this menial task that needs to be done for compliance reasons. You hand that over to an AI, you have people doing what they want to be doing, and you have a lot more of that efficiency coming in, and then you can scale more. It's a really cool thing. And so I think it's really interesting when people talk about this, they start thinking about this next discussion, but they don't think about all the other ways AI can help let you focus on your content more and how you're telling your brand story. So flipping it on its head to what people think about when we talk about this, Jose, we've had so many discussions over the past weeks, months, and even years about AI. And every time we get a chance, we try to implement AI into storyboard generation, asset generation. Where are you seeing the most value in what you're using it for currently?
Absolutely. So AI, as you may know, like has different heads, right? So we have like content generation, we now have like different like automation tools with AI. We have many tasks that AI can implement. And on the animation side, on or the video editing, we have seen tons of value on creating at scale, and also like to mood boarding. So essentially, we now have tools to help us visualize what we have in our heads in just in a couple seconds. Usually, in a couple of years back, we tend to rely on illustrators or probably on a bigger team to see things that we want to convey to our clients. Now we don't. Now we just say, "Hey, I want this, and I want this to look like this," and we get results in a matter of seconds or minutes if that's way too long. And this is where I'm having the getting the most value out of it, right? So video is really getting easier for everybody. Ideas are easier for everybody to visualize, and animation as a tool is getting like enhanced by all of these tools, not replaced, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it's really interesting because that example that you bring up on a project we had earlier this year, we were working on sorting out which iconography to use for an animation, and we were going back and forth with the client, and we just weren't hitting that note for them. And then they finally just went to ChatGPT and kind of came up with described what they were looking for, and then it populated this thing, and then they sent it to you, and you're like, I can definitely make something that looks very similar to that. And we were off and running, and we never had to discuss iconography again. So not only for you is it helpful to take someone who has 15 years experience animating and discussing things, but it also helps us in my job, which is translating what the people in the marketing initiatives are trying to say to what the people in the creative initiatives are trying to do. And so it's ultimately really helping, like you said, make it easier for us to get what's in our head out into the world. With that being said, what are some of kind of the things that you feel are drawbacks? What are some of the things that you feel like AI isn't there yet, but you're excited to see in the future?
Absolutely. So at this point, and this is probably not gonna resonate well with my animator peers, but I think that we have already achieved to a point where AI is able to create emotions or at least to drive emotionality, right? So I think some of the drawbacks that I've seen is not using the AI correctly and just letting the AI do its own thing, right? So the drawbacks are that we are not using it correctly. So we are seeing regular inputs, you're seeing just generic inputs, which, of course, if you say to an AI, give me an advertising video, it will generate you a totally regular video. That's why I think that human input is extremely important. So the drawbacks of using AI today is probably not knowing it deeply, right? Not understanding that each AI has its own like flavors, to say that, and that we can complement a bunch of elements and a bunch of AIs together to drive our message. Much like we have been doing with, for instance, like the Adobe Suite or any other software that we have been using in the past. Now we just have to pick AI tools. So
Right, and it's exactly like a chef works in a kitchen, exactly like a carpenter works with his tools. He doesn't just use a saw all the way for every project, right? And there's thousands of different types of saws that you can use for any. And so using these AIs and practicing on all these AIs is very important to actually be able to. And I think that's really a good point that you bring up. And it's actually leading us into our next point, which is that expertise gap. And a lot of people are talking about how they're scared they're going to lose their job to AI, or AI is going to get us all, to lose our jobs. And it's necessarily not the people who are losing their jobs to AI. People are losing their jobs to people who understand AI better and who are actually taking this knowledge gap that they have and they're integrating it into their life as much as possible. I think that is something that Kurt has mentioned and you have mentioned. Kurt, is there any more you want to talk to about, the purpose of integrating AI in your life as much as possible?
Yeah, absolutely. The quote that you just made there about if you're embracing AI, you're going to be okay. The people that are pushing back on it, not so much. It is really critical at this point for folks to understand that this is not going away. I had a conversation with a gentleman that this was years ago when AI was launching. And I said to him, "Oh, this is a lot like when the internet launched." And he said, "No, I would disagree with you there." He said, "It's a lot like when electricity was discovered." And so having been around when the internet launched, I know how big that really was. And being there during the early days of the internet launch, I know for you guys, you're probably like, wow, how old are you? But now with AI, I see similarities, but I also see this. I think I even saw Bill Gates talking about it, saying there's been nothing like this in his lifetime. And, this guy is, seen and done things that we will never see. And so having this as part of our lives, and it's really impacting just all of us. This isn't just for people that are at very high levels. Everyone has access to this in some way or another. From a business perspective, it's a little bit more of a challenge because many businesses are large moving ships, if you will. And to redirect takes some time. So having the right people in place, is it IT or is it someone else? Who's in charge of this? Is it the C-suite? Where's the money coming from? Is it, what budget is that coming out of? I can say when we started in the space many years ago, this was a problem, and it stalled a lot of projects. Now I think it's getting to the point where many of the companies are looking at this and saying, okay, what can we do? What can we start simply and see where this goes? And I also been seeing there's a lot of concern about ROI. So when we see a lot of discussion about, AI bubble and AI cost so much money, and is there a return? These are companies like Anthropic and OpenAI. These companies, they're talking about that, the amount of money that they're putting in. On our level, back down to earth, what we're doing is something completely different. And it's talking about simple automation, simple content creation, but simple in terms of it would make a world of difference for many of these companies to take this mundane work and have it automated. And so that's understanding the nuances of, the 30,000 foot level versus where we're at is important, because this messaging is getting out there and it's scaring a lot of people, and it's really not relevant to the space that we're in.
Yeah, and I think exactly what Jose said a couple of minutes ago, and to pair what you're saying, you can look at what OpenAI is doing and Anthropic's doing, and what they're trying to do is they're trying to create one tool that services all of these people. It's an AI for everyone who doesn't fully understand AI. What we're talking about is really getting into the weeds and finding, where your pain point is, and then attaching, AI to that, and figuring out where we can solve that or fix redundancies. I think that's one of the things that we do really good as a team. And as every tool comes out that we see or feel like we can be using, I think it was at the turn of VO3 coming out, we started talking about those mood boards that Jose was talking about. It's just, once we have these tools, we're excited. Like you said, Jose, it's like the invention of electricity. Like you said, I've heard it's like the discovery of fire is what I've heard AI related to, where it's just going to unlock the entirety of the rest of humanity's evolution is what this person is saying. And so it's very interesting. It also does cause that fear of, like, how are we moving too fast? What does this mean for ROI and things like that? But if you really look at the nuts and bolts and you try and solve and streamline where you can really use AI to just get ahead of everyone and be leader of the pack and help as many people as possible. As we kind of wrap up on this discussion, Jose, is there anything else you want to talk about in realm of AI, something you're using it for, or anything like that?
I would just leave with the conclusion that we as human beings, we are just creative, like, output machines, and that we shouldn't be married to a single tool. So just like an advice that I would give to anybody listening to this video is that don't marry your position or your title or the tools you have been using in the past. Now you have a totally amazing tool, which is AI, that will help you unlock everything that you have been potentially wanted to do for all of your life. So embrace it, and don't even marry to that, because after AI, who knows what will come up next. So essentially, just be open to any technology to drive your own evolution, is what I want to say.
That's very poignant. I think that's, not marrying your creative destiny to just one thing, because when the world is open to you, you're open to the world. That's a really good point. So thank you, Jose. Kurt, is there anything you want to add in some kind of closing remarks?
Yeah, I think the important thing is to remember the efficiency and the scale, that it can produce ROI. So if, say, you're a marketing VP and you have to go to your boss, whoever that may be, the CEO, whatever, we can show ROI, and it's pretty easy to do so in terms of this marketing automation. And so I think where we are today, AI really gives you a scalable strategic advantage that you should use. And I think if you don't, we talk about this fear of being left behind. I think this is really something, because if your competitors are in, the AI world and they're utilizing this to the fullest extent, and I will tell you, because we're in this space, many are. It's important to not be left behind and to understand that you have to acquiesce and get into this space. And over the years, we've really seen how this can change and turn companies around and their bottom line specifically, and for their staff. It frees up the staff to do things that really need to be done. So it opens up a whole category of that companies can do other things with the team that they have right now, and not hiring additional people and having to pay health insurance and all this stuff. It really makes a difference. It really does.
Yeah. And I think what we want this episode to be is, as much as we could possibly fit in, but there's just so much happening in AI, and we're definitely looking to do more episodes about this. There's no way we're going to get everything in one episode. And I think, like you said earlier, you know, it could be a 5-hour discussion. It could be a 5-day discussion,
Right.
and you still won't cover it all. So I think right now I'd like to leave us with these great points that we've made, that, you know, if you want to see AI through, you should see AI through. It's important to get on board now, because what you're seeing today is the worst version of AI we are going to be seeing. Every day it's getting better. Every day there's a new one coming out. It's only going to keep getting better. If you get in now, you're going to exponentially grow your, I've heard it called AQ or AIQ, where it's your AI quotient and how much you are learning with it, and how much you can expand your mind with the use of AI. I think that's a great term. So thank you guys for joining us today. If you like this episode, please like, subscribe, follow for more, and comment below any kind of ideas, challenges, anything you're facing as an HCP marketer using AI today. Maybe it's presenting it to your C-suite, but we'd love to hear from you down below. And thank you guys again for joining me today.
Thank you, Trip.
Thank you, Trip.